Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Me Live broadcast of the WTRL Women's Empowerment Series. Today we are out on the Champs Ulysses for 4 laps, 30 kilometers. I'm Nathan Garrett. Dave Toll is next to me, and we are into stage number 2 of this series that is focused in on women's racing specifically. Today we'll be covering the A and the B category out there today. We'll be jumping in with the C's just a little bit as well as they finish up their race. So the ladies are out on course at this point, Dave. But let's go ahead and real quickly, we do have some of the results that have gone down. And we'll give some shout outs here as the race starts getting on and to where things stand after the first week of racing. But last week, I mean, it's all about hanging out in France, it seems like. And last week, there were definitely some attacks. We saw Reznikov with their new 2020 contract showing off, that's for sure, at the top level.
Yeah, it's interesting, Nathan, when you look at it now, and who wouldn't want to hang out in France right now, huh? But I know there's going to be a lot of pain going on. I should note 4 laps today for 30 kilometers of total racing. And if you look at past performances here over the last couple of months, it really has been Reznikov and Kolchinsky ending up in these mano-a-mano battles, as good as it gets. So today's course doesn't really play into the favor of Kolchinsky, but this rider has so much heart. It's going to be fun to watch. Now she's going up against, so I recommend everyone goes to zwiftpower.com and take a look at when you look at the start list today, this is the recipe for some great racing. So actually, we're going to jump right in with the rider out of New York here, Kristen Kolchinsky, KKs. We'll be talking about her a lot today, Nathan. There's no doubt about it. But let's go back to 2020. They've got Franco here, but they have Courtney Nelson here today. And I think she's going to be one of the difference makers as Antonina Reznikov joins that team. I'm going to throw it back to you, Nathan, as we pick up the early going here. Really strong field. This is going to be an absolute dynamite race today, over 30K. We have a bunch of different categories racing out there. So a lot going on in the Zwift community as well. Today's a day to celebrate. And what better rider to do it with than Charlotte Backus out of Park City right now in Utah. She was out riding this weekend with Mari Holden, Olympic silver medal winner, a world champion. Charlotte Backus has got an awesome trajectory right now.
Yeah, Charlotte here on the little bit of the attack, and there is a climb each lap. I mean, a lot of people might think that this being somewhat of a crit course, kind of almost, but really no, it's more of a circuit race, and it has this 2 to 3, 4% gradient each lap. As they head, up this climb here, it's going to be an opportunity to attack. We'll see if they can split things up. We do see Backus here on the initial with the aero power up. Nelson, the rider you were talking about here, 6.7 watts per kilogram. Haven't seen her in a few races at this point. And at a 181, looks like she's showing up off the press, ready to go. And Backus here trying to follow it up. The pack, they're still involved. Not really getting too much of a split. Toward the back, though, we may have a few stragglers that might get popped off in just a second here. Now, rider coming across, though, it looks like trying to maybe even counter, and that's going to be Curry here from the Amy D Foundation, getting a little bit of a gap. So the attacks are on. Reznikov trying to follow.
Nathan, Catherine Curry is the 2008 U.S. National Road Champion, and it was hotly contested. That was a really strong era for women's racing here in the United States, actually worldwide for that matter. So Catherine Curry is always going to be a legitimate danger women racing for the Amy D Foundation. Amy's 33rd birthday would have been just the other day. I know a lot of people were out celebrating that, but Courtney Nelson is the game changer here for the 2020 team. This field, Nathan, this is a really complex race to break down. So if you're not on 2020, there's some independent riders, or maybe not quite independent, because Helen McKay is here with Charlotte Backus. But if you're not on 2020, you definitely want to let them play a few chips, play a few hands here to see how things are going to sort out. Because adding Reznikov, Nathan, that was one of the biggest transfers that's happened over the silly season that we have here in esports. I mean, right now, esports is in fuego. There's no doubt. Look at that. Leo Thorvaldsen is there as well. Another one of the very strong riders that we'll be watching for. Speaking of the Zwift Academy, the first ever Zwift Academy winner there. And she has been an incredible ambassador for Zwift and this platform and for racing in general, women's racing, the whole 9 yards. So Leah Thorvaldsen is here. She looks like she's on a good day. And there's the Colombian, Natalia Franco. This rider is an insane talent for the future. Viva Colombia. But here we go, Nathan. I'm going to throw it back to you. It looks like Sisu, looks like they're motivated right now. This is going to be Wendorf that we're looking at up on the front.
It does look like Sisu, I Race Like a Girl. We're taking over at the front for just a moment, but now Nelson with the counterattack. As they head downhill, perhaps they saw that they took some speed up a little bit higher. They may be able to pop a few extra riders off the back here. It does look like that's exactly what's happening here now. We do see Jay So here now from 2020 off the back of this group. Durian's trying to get back on terms, but the group is starting to fade away in the distance. Race to meters at this point. They're going to have to see some orange numbers to get back on terms. Not going to be happening as Durian as well as Stoll. It's going to be Stoll and So, and then it's going to be Kirby as well as Wrong and Armstrong here trying to jump back on. This is two chase. Now, look, 2020 may be able to pull this off, though. During with an arrow power up, they need to get on the wheels here. Maybe it should be the solo rider that can get across at 56 kilometers per hour. You see the pack here at 55. She's got that little bit of extra speed, but she's got to close it right now. Can't see a heart rate at this point here, but up and out of the saddle, 6.8, I'm assuming, is what's happening here. Red Truck Racing coming out of Canada, trying to come across. Going to get back on the wheel. Might be able to pull some speed on through as it flattens out and carry that. I think it's going to calm down at the front. I think they may just barely do this. If you look at the first-person perspective here, though, it's still just out of reach. Armstrong's not going to be getting there, it looks like. So I think is as well. Trying to grab back on it. 188, though. 210, as you can see. It's not going to be happening here for that rider. Look at this. I mean, this is torture watching here. This slowly fading, walking away. And it was right there, but not going to happen. Maybe it trusted a little bit too much. As we saw those orange numbers just for a moment, they needed to happen just a little bit early to pick up some speed. And there goes the pack, as they usually do, as they roll away and snowball their speed. And it looks like we might have lost. Dave, I think we lost you there for a second.
Jasmine During right here is the rider that was the bronze medal winner, Nathan, in the Olympic Games. If she can't get back on, I think this really illustrates how hard it is. As Nathan said, there goes the pack. Well, it is an unbelievably ominous feeling when you see that, even if you can make two more kilometers per hour, it's not going to close down that gap quick enough, and you just can't stay with your heart rate up in that zone trying to close this down. So let's see if these ladies can organize a solid chase here. They need a little bit of luck. They need the riders up in this front group, a little bit of a reprieve, I guess you would say, right now. This is the WTRL Women's Empowerment Series. There is no quarter asked for and no quarter given. I mean, Nathan, we're looking at an Olympic bronze medalist and on her game, Jasmine During, right now trying to fight back here for the 2020 team. But this is one of the things that you really see out here with such aggressive racing. They don't wait for all the bags to get on board sometimes when you're the 2020 team. If they have an opportunity to make an impact on the race, and we're only not even a third of the way in. Again, 4 laps out here today and 30 total K, but you can see that this is quite an animated race. Helen McKay, we're looking at the British rider right now, another one of the real players in the field here that you'd want to. She has the ability to impact this race one way or another, and there's not many women on planet Earth right now that you could say that about. Certainly, Catherine Curie is the wild card, Nathan, I'd really be watching for here. This course doesn't have really the climbing that she would like to see. There's a couple of riders, Kolchinsky, certainly in that group as well, that would always be looking for a harder course, that's for sure. But this course is just challenging enough that it kind of goes right down the middle here. If you do see a sprint today, it's probably not going to be from a group much larger than 6. I'd be surprised, actually. They'll whittle this down even more here. They keep the pressure on.
Yeah, the aggressive racing is one of the best things that we like about especially within the women's racing. I definitely tend to see that the splits happen, and they happen fairly early. As you do see Nelson here, another little bit of dig. And this is something I really like about 2020. Now that they've gotten comfortable, it seems like, in the esports world, we've seen them a lot more aggressive, making moves, controlling the race a little bit more. And then obviously with picking up one of the strongest racers, as we see Resnikov. I think Resnikov's been kind of sitting in a little bit so far, waiting for that moment to pounce. There's a reality that those early attacks most likely were going to break things up too much. You got to wait for them to tire out the legs a little bit, get some of that nitrous oxide out, and then next thing you know, boom, halfway through the race, the fireworks really go off. You see Resnikov making her way to the front. I don't know if there's a covering move, trying to just make things fast. 4.8, interesting to see. Sticking her nose in the wind a little bit here. And perhaps just getting a little bit of positioning before they do head up that second climb as they're going to finish lap 1, 10K in.
The rider we haven't talked about that I want to highlight here is going to be Marlene Bijarhead, a super talent, Nathan, as well. She's done a very good job of quietly staying back in this group. If you look for her avatar here, you're going to see that she does a really good job of, if they say, keeping the powder dry here, not wasting a watt. Now, that's really going to be the name of the game, is there's going to be an explosion coming up. I'm going to guess as we go inside of one lap to go, this race is going to find another gear out here, and it has never backed off, that's for sure. But you can see Natalia Franco tucked right into the sweet spot. Same thing for Charlotte Backus. And good job there by Lenny Ramsey. Again, the Sisu I Race Like a Girl team. A lot of really exciting announcements coming out right now in the world of WTRL, the Zwift Racing League. I saw for the first time ever that logo. Nathan, that was so exciting to see that coming out. These are the women that are going to be making that league. These teams are going to be a critical part. The recipe for success is based in a team format without any doubt. And Sisu I Race Like a Girl, Nathan, is absolutely a team I'm going to be watching for big things from. Let's see what they can put together here today. Going up against one of the most established in real life and esports teams. Very few teams have that combo. I think that maybe Tibco in 2020 do it better than anyone. But thanks for picking up Bijarhead here, the Swedish rider, Nathan. I'm going to tip her for a top 3 today.
Bijarhead, we'll see if she can pull that off. That's a pretty big ask amongst this crew. But, I think after seeing her performance last week in the TTT and how she was definitely, it seemed like almost holding back amongst that, amongst the SD team out there. Looks like her fitness was really coming on after the summer here, so we'll have to wait and see if she can pull something off in and amongst this group here. 180 beats per minute here, though. 2.1 watts per current. Probably looking to bring that back down just a tad. Oh, and Jarheed actually falling off the back now. Unexpected here. I was expecting her to go through and be involved at the top end here, but perhaps a little bit of a struggle today. Power drop out something. I mean that is an unexpected situation here.
Her 15-second is 6:44. I mean, there's one rider close to her. That's the Canadian Smiley there that at 6:62 watts for a 15-second period. So that's not normal there. I have to think that we'll try to get a story on that. But I am really surprised to see that's the equivalent of a flat tire out here in esports racing. It's always going to be a bummer. That's one of those things, Nathan, that makes sport things. The story has never been written until they complete the race, because you just don't know what's going to happen out there. Anybody can be victim of that. Although, who knows? I don't. But that's my guess with the rider that strong for sure. Danielle Estrate, Nathan, is here. Now, Aonic. I did a little research on Google, and where I do most of my research. And Aonic, I was wondering about the team name. It's a new team that's coming on. Estrate was a big transfer for them. Think Eon, think built to last, right? Eons and eons. So that team is preparing for a long run out there. Good luck to the Aonic ladies as they get the ball rolling with their. Look at this though, Nathan. They're stringing it out up here. Someone has cracked the whip, and look at the damage being done. Now this is a moment.
Orvilson. Team Turbo.
So what is she doing here? Holy cow! She's going to really tenderize a lot of legs, Nathan.
Yeah, it looks like Orvilson is on the attack here at this point, and Team Turbo showed up to race. We saw the first lap around. It was Charlotte Backus's turn to give a little bit of a dig from the same team. Backus pushed the pace. It split it up a little bit here. Now Kolchinski follows up, and it's Thorvaldsen's turn this time around. I think they've got a plan. McKay here, she's been sitting in, and Helen McKay, she actually, I believe, a lot of times McKay is the sprinter on this team, so I think they're trying to whittle things down for the setup for McKay later on. I really think that may be the tactic here between them. Obviously, they'll all sprint to the line if they come together, but McKay here, I think, is the one they're saving the matches for.
Nathan, I will sign off on that 100%. Now, there's a couple other riders that this really benefits out here. Lenny Ramsey is one of them, and I would say Monali Keller of the Evoke team is going to be another. We haven't mentioned Monali yet, the rider out of Seattle, who is extremely strong. So, again, to bring everyone up to speed, if you're just joining us, I love seeing people jumping in, watching the racing here in the middle of the day in North America, as we are now past the third of the way into this race. A little bit more than that, to tell you the truth. It's 4 laps for 30K out on this circuit. It's not a brutal circuit, but it's a grinder's course, and it's certainly a course where having a strong team around you would make a big difference, and that's I'm pointing to 2020 at this point. Now, Nathan, they are being relatively chill, all things considered, as we take a look here at
B category. We're going to jump on over to
B
the B category here real
great.
quick.
Yeah, I
so
was
we
noticing this is
definitely
a
want to
big group.
jump around with all the categories. It's something that we
Awesome.
definitely want to focus in on, and something that I want to give a quick shout out to the community and everybody that's been watching. Something that we really are going to start focusing in on is across all categories, especially with the announcement of the Zwift Racing League. We're not going to give too many details or anything, but if you did see the announcement, we're just going to give a quick shout out as we go across the categories here that this league is going to be about categories across all, and we will be broadcasting it here in partnership with Zwift as well as WTRL. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And what we've been looking forward to for so long, having an ecosystem of racing out on Zwift for all categories and carrots to chase to work your way through it, just like you would in real life racing. Everybody will find their spots. So as we jump across the categories and take a look, get familiar now also with all of the different racers from all of the different categories that are shining at that top, earning those top spots here. So as we look at the Vikings team here coming out of Norway here, and the shoe that one all is pressed together here. I gave a good go at it. I'm gonna have to have some. I mean, I'm wondering if that's like a nickname or if that's we'll have to wait and see.
That's what that is an announcer's nightmare. So, Nathan, I want to give you and our friends at WTRL a ton of credit. It has been a lot of passionate work by the crew that has put together things to move us into the next era of racing. And I think you put it really well. The real winners here are going to be every racer out there, but the B category, the C category, the D categories. We really look forward to learning more about you guys as well. So, Nathan, I'm just, again, one of the great things about ZwiftPower.com is you can jump right in and see some of the riders like Annie Lofschuss, who's been strong here today she's out of Norway. You can see South, again, look at the representation from all of the different flags here as well. That's a great sign of the international community that makes up Zwift. But Ina Midgley, also a strong rider to watch for in this group, Nathan, the racing, as I've always said, you never know if you go to a full day of racing, whether it'll be the pro men or the pro women who will have the best race. But for that matter, it's not just the pro men or the pro women. The best race of the day could come from any category because it comes down to spirit and heart and the unique circumstances that make up the finale. And same course, same number of laps. So they're getting it on like Donkey Kong in their own way here as we get a good look at the B group. Danny King, she's a really cool rider, Nathan, that does a great job on social media of highlighting how a life of fitness can be a tremendous amount of fun. This group is pinning it too, 56 kilometers per hour right now.
Yeah, Danny King and the rest of the field. She does have two teammates, I believe, here, maybe even three teammates. I think one of her teammates did fall off base here at this point. I believe we're looking at this is definitely the front group. A total of, we can see, about 35 riders or so, and the two fearless riders in here. It's going to be Joey Linthgo as well as Daniel King. They're both coming out. Well, Daniel King, I believe she's coming out of the USA as well as Joey Lithgow. Team Fearless tends to be a US-based team, and most of the riders were coming out of the US of A. So up toward the front, though, it does look like the pace again being pushed by the Vikings rider as well as Midgley here of TriStar coming out of South Africa. Hogsen is there from Team Revo, now giving a little bit of dig toward the front on that signature
the numbers
purple Tron bike that they tend to use in that team. So good to see a little bit of pressure being pushed on here. So we'll jump back over to the A category here. We'll come back to the Bs. The Bs will finish shortly after the A's, so we'll definitely be able to catch their sprint and the probably second their final climb up onto the top out on course here. But let's jump back on over to the A categories. It does look like they are heading into their third lap out here as they finish up 16K.
When I was a kid, I always thought that the Champs-Élysées was completely flat. It sort of looks like it when you're watching the coverage, especially the relatively outdated coverage of the 80s of the Tour de France. But they didn't really start finishing on the Tour de France until that era. It hasn't been the entire length of that race. But nowadays, obviously iconic here. And the gradient is a little more than you would think. It makes for some heavy, heavy legs, that's for sure. As again, we're jumping back in with the front group here with Absolutely the front group. Nice to see. Well, as you take some inventory in this group right now, Nathan, you get the feeling that the work that was being done, it was really Turbo, wasn't it? Thorvaldsen and company that were doing most of the damage there. Looks like they've backed off right now, and we're going to see who wants to. I'm expecting Evoke is going to be a big player here today, especially with Monali Keller looking like she's coming into some really good form. There's Carly Johansson as well, another really strong rider. But there you see that beautiful flag of Israel, and Tonina Reznikov, what a career she has had as a Ukrainian athlete. She raced as a pro cyclist. She's now a pro triathlete.
Speaking of,
and
a little bit of a kick, 9 watts per kilogram here. As you can see, 168. This is a move as they head into the climb up toward the Arc de Triomphe there in just a moment. We're going to climb in just a second, but with the gap immediately here. Now, the question is whether or not she has the energy, whether or not she has the power to continue through after this initial gap, is because this is going to cause a little bit of chasing here and some speed coming in. But look at the pack coming on through, and will she be able to come over the top again, or is this to kind of just break things up and then sit on a wheel at this point?
This is why a big team with multiple weapons has a huge advantage. And so you really do look. So that was a test attack without any doubt. So 2020 is going to start laying down some ground fire here right now. Now, one thing to remember for the finale is that Reznikov is on 2020, but she hasn't changed her kit yet. So that might throw people off a little bit. So wanted to highlight that. Remember that Reznikov, she's in that, what would you say, red, white, blue. She's got the blue Tron wheels there right up on the front. You can see her with the orange and black helmet. So that is good to note because she's absolutely, if you look at the plot line of what you're going to see here over the next, let's say 13K, she is one of the 3 riders that will have the largest impact on how this all plays out. Nathan, she has shown up week in, week out, and she rarely does not end up on the top step of the podium. Her win percentage here it's unfathomable what she has done. One of the riders that has gone to the line with her multiple times. The storyline has included the wonderful Kristen Kalinsky story. And this rider who really has come out of nowhere to show this fighting spirit, hasn't quite cracked the code. Today's course doesn't suit her, but this is going to come down to a race of heart out here today. And Nathan, 2020, again, if you can't beat them, join them. And that really was the story there, where they were having trouble just managing this Reznikov situation and ended up drafting her onto the team. As you said, she's under contract now. This is, I believe, the 2nd week that she's been riding with that squad. So as I throw it back to you, it's starting to string out a little bit here on the front. You can see riders are going to be fighting for positioning right now as they're quacking away here at the front, just trying to hold on to the right wheel as you get the feeling another surge is going to come. Haven't mentioned the Argentinian rider, Arce, yet quietly staying right in the wheels here as this group is quietly now getting ready for what I think is going to be an explosion.
Yeah, and a little bit more chill this time up and around. I think the ladies, getting a little bit of fatigue in the legs, So interesting to see here how they're going to play this final climb, finishing up their 3rd lap here. It seems to me that this time up and over the top, up toward the Arc de Triomphe, they're kind of into Grupo Compacto mode a little bit more. I'm seeing 3.5, 3.0. Last time around, we saw more of the 6, 7 watts per kilometer, real attacks. Nothing stuck, and I think at this point, there's a little trepidation at giving too much at this point. They're not thinking, well, if I put too much out on the course here at this point, I'm going to pay for it later. So we'll have to wait and see how that ends up playing out here. Now, as you do see, I Race Like a Girl, they tend to make their moves here at this section, or at least take over at this section. Wendorf here, as you can see. Now Lieberman here from ATP
Kessler
now.
As well.
3.7. Kessler, Kolchinsky, interesting to see. All about positioning, I think. No real attacks here. On this downhill, it's almost impossible to get away. So it's going to be Grupo Compacto, I think, until the next climb.
Such a strong field, Nathan. When you look at it, there are quite a few riders who could put some type of a claim together to say that I can win this bike race here today. Normally, you start a group like this, and I'd say there's 5 riders who have a decent chance of winning, 10 riders who have an outside chance of winning. I would say there's more like 10 riders with a decent chance of winning out here today, with another 10 riders who've got a shot at this one. And that is a lot of riders that'll keep the speed really high. As you can see, we start to ramp it up the the other direction now as they're going to be flying down the Champs-Élysées, using that gravity to just skip over the top of these cobblestones as they come up on 20K into a 30K. Donnybrook going on the Champs-Élysées in Paris right now. Nathan, this is going to be a really big group to have together at this point. It does speak to the course a little bit today, not quite hard enough to blow, when you have riders of this quality, they're just not going to get dropped on a 4% grade.
Yeah, and it's no point in attacking at this point at all. So let's go ahead. I think it's going to be pretty chill at this point. Let's go ahead and jump on over with the B category, because this is really going to be a section where I think all these riders are going to kind of be thinking. I mean, the only thing is through the underground, we may see some attacks here and maybe some sort of a last one lap flyer to try and make something happen. But in the B category, they are on the climb here in just a moment, and we do see a little bit of attacks from the front. And look at this. No, actually, yeah, they are coming over the top here.
Yeah.
Terry Owen from Team Type 1 here trying to make something happen. Winchester's there as well. Danny Kinn falling off here. Team Fearless, 175. Beast from it needs to jump right back on. Looks like she's going to secure that spot here. But Tammy T now, as well as a kid, just barely holding on. This is whether or not she holds on at this point, whether she gives a little bit of a kick, because that meter matters. The group's going to start fading away. Close the Gap is in front of her at this point, and Kid's got to make something happen
right now.
Yep. Exactly. This race is over if she does not close that. Just barely makes it happen. 4.2.
That is the hardest 5 meters to close in the world. Was that Kid that we were watching do that?
It was Kid.
That rider just showed me that, not many people can do what we just witnessed right there. If you were just watching and you've never Zwifted before, you might say, what's the big deal, Dave? Well, that is a rider who her head was being held underwater, and she fought the Hulk off to get back into that group. So there you go. That's a rider with a lot of future.
And this is Angela Kidd coming out of the US of A. And great to see. This is a new racer, actually. Welcome to the world of Zwift Racing, because she did a ZHQ beta race back on September 8th, and then she did a Revo social ride on September 9th, and that's it. Level 8 Zwifter. Awesome to see her out here racing already and jumping right into the deep end. So really nice move here. And being at the front end of the B category, awesome to see here with Angela Kidd, 19.4K. And we'll see if she can get a solid result here, as she took that 10th in that ZHQ beta race in the B category. Solid 3.7 watts per kilogram. So Kidd here may have some talent that is going to get some upgrades even. So solid results here so far.
Yeah, CC Team Vision. Hey, Ariel Verhaeren having a great ride out here today, Nathan, as well as you look at some of the, I see Kimberly Jules as well has been sitting up near the front. Lauren Wilson, Lisa Elliott. This is the future. No doubt about it. When you talk about an ecosystem, look at the numbers that these ladies are not that far off from what the A women are doing out there. This group. So, Nathan, one of the things that I learned early on in my time in cycling is one of the best things you can do when you start finding success at a certain level is to let yourself, not talking about sandbagging now, but rather than try to advance too quickly sometimes, it's great to learn the tactics of winning. Not everybody gets that experience in their life. If you just advance every time you can to the next group and never win bike races, you never learn really what the final the elements of being a champion are. So go ahead and win a couple times out here before you move up, and let's see what we've got here now, because this is going to be a really tough group to win out of. We're picking up Pruitt here, and I'm wondering if this is the former downhill superstar. It's Jill Pruitt that we're looking at out of South Africa right now. So Jill riding up on the front. There's Angela Kidd tucked nicely into the group. Really good positioning for Kidd now, Nathan. So she not only got onto the back of the group, she was able to move up and get into the sweet spot.
Yeah, we do see Jay Willis here also from Wadi Inc. Racing. Wadi Inc. Racing has definitely been, watch out for them. They've been making a splash recently out on Zwift, and I love the name. And this is a team that I believe we're going to see a lot more of as the Zwift Racing League starts to, kick up, because they've really been involved in a lot of the broadcast races, and I have a feeling that they're going to be focusing in to try and move their way up the ranks. And that's one of the cool things is I think with these new carrots to chase, a lot of these teams that are going to now have that trajectory that they can aim at. And I think, we're going to have this very top tier, but then at that there's going to be all of these teams that are all of a sudden going to start coming out of the woodwork to chase after that top tier. And this structuring, I think, that we're going to see coming here, we're really going to see something to similar to what we see in real life, where these regions have an idea of who the local teams are, who those continental or and it's not a continental UCI team or anything like that in the Zwift world, but the idea is that the comparison of like locally in Wisconsin, I know who all the top teams are in the local road race or war series, but then regionally, like you have this more elite, and then even nationally, you have this more continental elite. And then from there, you can move out. And I think we're going to start seeing that at each level. People starting to show up with these teams that start to putting their names out there and really start to get noticed, which I absolutely love to see. And I think it's just going to really, really bolster this whole ecosystem of racing.
I couldn't agree more. How do you build an ecosystem? And that's from the ground up, right? Before you have eagles, you need a wetlands, if you know what I mean. So now we get a look, Nathan, as they drop underneath through the tunnel right here. This Wadi Inc. is a really cool Southern California cycle clothing manufacturer, but they've got that brand identity that's really got some mojo, some moxie to it. And certainly more and more riders seem to be gravitating to that team as we look at the Bs. They're at 22.3K, so about, let's go ahead and call it 7.5K to go. We're going to go back to the A's now because they're into what I would call the finale. Yeah, there we go. One to go, ladies. One to go. And here we go, Nathan. It looks like 2020 is going to start making some moves as they put Courtney Nelson. That looks like, to me, Charlotte Backus of the Turbo team there in the purple jersey getting up onto that wheel, and she's going to close down that gap. So Charlotte, the welder, Backus brings another one back together, but this is going to turn into absolute pandemonium in Paris right now. That's going to be Resnick, remembering that she's on that 2020 team. And there goes Resnikov up on the front. Everybody trying to get up on that wheel. Frisk having a great ride today. Thorvaldson still in the mix. Lenny Ramsey punching above her weight. Nathan, we have got ourselves quite a bike race coming our way. These ladies are not going to give any quarter whatsoever now. We're going to start seeing, I think, a few riders coming out the back of the group as they go ahead and put the accelerator down onto the floorboard, and let's just duct tape it there now. We're not going to back off at all. Backus must be riding in the team role today, looking to set up her teammate. I think you're right, Nathan. I think that's Helen McKay that they're riding for.
Yeah, McKay, she has not stuck her nose in the wind at all. She's been following wheels. Now remember, this is a team competition out here as well. Don't forget, these riders are not just riding for individual points. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at this very quickly here. Evo currently leading things out in this A category. I Raced Like a Girl, 2020, ATP, Turbo, but it's all pretty close, within about 11 points there for that top 5. Aeon is out there as well. Team Cryogen, Fort Trek, and that's going to be all Koczynski there for Fort Trek.
Yeah, I was going to say that entire team is KK.
WTRL. So interesting enough to see here. I do have Martin here, the director actually from WTRL. Martin, do you want to give us a real quick lowdown on exactly what these points are all about and how the ladies are getting them?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Nathan. Hey, Dave. Hello. So we've worked very hard, lots of simulations, lots of attempts to try and keep the points a little bit closer to keep it really competitive with the teams. We know with a lot of series, teams tend to be able to run away with hundreds of points difference and things like that. So essentially, there are 3 races to every stage that take place at different times throughout today. Then for each category within each race, there are a number of points available. So first is 20, second is 17, third is 16, and then it's 14 down to 1, with everybody receiving 1 point. They are then leagued up into category leagues for the whole stage. So everybody, whether you race zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, there's 20 points for first place in all of those. Unless the field is smaller, then it's slightly different. But those all add up, and then we take the top 5 riders for that stage for each team, and that is what gets added into the team league for each category. Hopefully that will make sense.
So similar to what we're doing in the TTT, kind of, where throughout the day there's racing going on aiming at these team points. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, absolutely correct. And the reason we've gone with points over times is obviously there's 3 races. You get different people, different levels of competitiveness. Some will want to go out hard and get the best possible time. Then there'll be other pelotons that are slower, where they're saving up for sprints. So time is a bit of an unfair way to use it. If you get 50 races in zone 2 and 10 in zone 1, clearly the peloton's going to move at different speed. Hence why we go with points, not time.
Thanks a lot for that explanation, Martin. So throughout the day, they're getting this, and Evo currently leading things out in this specific category for the A category. We do see some attacks happening in the B category. Martin, we'll maybe jump with you for a little bit of a chat about the new racing league as well, and just after the race out here today. But so stick around, Martin. That was Martin Carew coming from the WTRL, the director of WTRL, the guy who does tons of work out in the background here, and is a huge catalyst into this world of esports currently right now. Now, jumping back on over, though, look at this. Heading on up toward the Triumph here, and it's going to be our Viking here coming out of Norway. Killing it right now, but it does look like Lethal here come fearless now, trying to shut things down. Holmeston as well as Draft. So this is this looks like a serious split here with 4 ladies trying to get away in this B category, really putting the pressure on. B category, this is interesting, really hotting up right now.
This is more what I was expecting to see in the A race, to tell you the truth, Nathan. This formula here, 4 riders going clear. You can see it is shattering back behind. They're going to bring this home inside of 5K now. This is a very dangerous 4-rider group. So it looks like we'll just go with Alftress there, Lithgow. This is going to be close. I think this might be the right mix here, Nathan. If these 4 really want to pot commit here, go all in, all together now, but maybe not. Look at the power of the peloton. It's completely stringing out behind them. When I say peloton, I'm talking more like a dozen riders right now, trying to bring back these 4. Here comes some reinforcements now. So, boy, this is the charge of the Light Brigade now here in Paris on the way to the finale. They've got a little more than 4K to go. This is the B women that we're looking at. What a fantastic race going on here right now. It's almost breaking up into different echelons right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is complete mayhem out here right now. Wilson for WTRL trying to make something happen here to get back on terms. This is a second chase group out there. Rick here from the ZRG now, as you can see, Ricky, as well as Higginbottom just getting back on terms, but they're going to look for a little bit of a rest, so most likely not going to be helping out. But the pack, again, the snowball effect is happening, and here we go. They're going to bring it all back together. And then at the front, though, will we see a counterattack? The speed that's coming through could be used to try and get off the front here at this moment, but this pack most likely going to be traveling way too fast to make that happen. Now behind, we do see Cook as well. Viet Cook here from the WTRL. Late's there as well. Goodrich, they may start working together here and try and get involved in the sprint. If you get back on terms, you may not have the solid threshold or VO2 max, but a sprinter who's sitting in, who gets carried back, or at least makes this close down and then rests up, may be able to make something happen still and get a win. It's not over for this pack, but they got to make it happen right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you start looking at team tactics. If you have the opportunity to keep the speed high for your sprinter and avoid them getting attacked one more time, you certainly try to do that. And I think that's what we're witnessing there. We're going to jump back in because these women are inside of the final K, or should be very close to the final K right now, Nathan. As here we go. It's finale time for the A women. It's Carly Johan, the Sisu rider, up on the front.
Backus, though, early. Backus, here it goes. And this is the pull out. This is, okay, the idea here is she's looking to make them chase, waste some effort, and pull McKay up with the other teams here at this point. Thorvaldsen's giving a watch and just make sure she covers any other moves and goes along, but McKay is right there, 5.2 watts per kilogram, perfectly positioned here around second wheel. If they don't close it down now, Backus just wins. Kolchinski now is there. Perfect tactics from Team Turbo.
Yeah, you got to love that. I mean, they try to set the trap there, and they didn't quite get everyone to bite. It's going to be Kolchinski surging now. The finish line is going to come up quickly. Kolchinski doing everything she can with that deep, deep fitness that she has. Reznikov right on her wheel. Again, the cream rises to the top. It looks like, Nathan, we're going to go into this in a gallop. There is the finish arch, and it looks like the first surge has come. We're still a long way from having a winner here, as that is going in the white jersey. That's going to be Monali Keller from Evoke, but even that wasn't enough as Arche coming over the top. They'll throw it to you, Nathan. It's going to be
Arche. Arche takes it down here. Arche slammed. It looks like able to make it happen there. It looks like even Reznikov and the others unable to make something happen. I thought for sure McKay was going to be involved, perfectly positioned, but Arche just had the kick. And the upset, because Reznikov tends to be a rider I would not bet against let's take a quick look at how that ended up playing out here, as we do have, I believe, a quick replay.
That's a huge win. Huge, Nathan.
Absolutely,
when you think about what she was up against, all of the different teams that were riding extremely well, let's go back. I mean, it was against Charlotte Backus that started it all with at about 700 meters to go. Her teammate then trying to take an advantage of that, and she did move up, Helen McKay. But this is where I thought Monnalee Keller might have had enough. That's going to be Monnalee, Nathan, in the white jersey. However, here comes the champ.
Now here, this is the difference between the pure sprinters. I think really, I thought Keller was really going to hold on there. But look, I mean, as you can see, this kick here to the line, these three, they perfectly timed it, as you can see. And they come up over the top there, 14, 11, 12 watts per kilogram.
Reznikov, yeah.
Reznikov is involved there. We're seeing Arce involved there, as well as Daniela Estrate. And Daniela Estrate, another rider who we didn't talk about at all, actually, throughout the broadcast, but she's always got a solid sprint. And good to see her back out on top. Reznikov, though, we're not on top. It's second place. They're on the podium. And then it's going to be Reznikov. Thorvaldsen, solid result. I thought that they were working for McKay, but it looks like Thorvaldsen able to pull something off there with a solid sprint as well. I think coming in for second or third place. Excuse me, fourth or fifth place.
It shows you Aonic now with so many riders looking for teams and all the changes happening in the WTRL, the Zwift Racing League. One rider like Daniela Estrate, she's the Romanian star, can put you on the map. And there you go. That was quite a finale. And take a look at all the different flags that we've got up there in our top 10 as well. So, okay, this is it, Nathan. If you enjoyed that last race, we got another one for you with a really similar dynamic coming in. This is right where we picked up that Charlotte Backus attack, as these ladies are into their finale now.
Langer here, B category here. Now. Rick, looks like ZRG, the Zwift Riders of Germany now trying to make a way to the front now. It's going to be Socks for Watts, Coates there. It's going to be I believe that's going to be their B squad there, hammering away, sitting in about fourth wheel. Now the Vikings making up the third. Is that going to be Yates there from Sisu Du now making her way to the front? And then it's going to be Alstrus, I'm going to say, from the Vikings. She's been really aggressive. I mean, just continues to stick her nose in the wind. But will she have the sprint to the line, Dave? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love, too. Some of these riders, Nathan, don't know themselves at this point. They're just finding out what kind of a bike racer they are. And it's not only understanding what your strengths are, but understanding and identifying the weaknesses of the other riders. And that's what the game element of this, so much of it is mental. As now, if you can win out of this group, I'm going to say you are a sprinter, Nathan, and it's going to be a sprint. There's the finishing arch. We're down to it here. This is the nitty-gritty for our B women. Alfshes has been on the front all day. It looks like Sisu Du rider Yates is going to make a big run at it. It's going to be hard to bring her back. Not a lot of engines left.
Yates here now with that aero power up. It looks like going to be able to just barely try and hang on, but no, Team Fearless knew exactly when to kick. But here comes Higginbottom. Team Fearless not able to get it there. It's going to be Coacher, I think, for third. Higginbottom for second, but a solid kick at the right time from Team Fearless. Let's take a quick look here as well at that replay. That's going to give us an idea of exactly. That was a solid kick to the line.
Joey Lithgow is the rider there we were watching. Wow, really, really impressive kick, Nathan. That's how it's done, ladies. Done and dusted here on the Champs-Élysées. We did 30 kilometers of racing today. Both of the races had small, reduced group sprints. So this course really wore on the riders. Only the strong were able to stay in that group. And then to be an impact racer in the finale requires a next level human being. So Cryo, the race development team, it looks like we're watching a couple of riders here bringing it home. Wow, Nathan, great racing today. That's what it's all about. These community racers are so strong. Thank you for jumping in with the B women today. We're going to learn a lot about who the next great A's are going to be coming out of that B's field. Same thing for the C's, same thing for the D's.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is all going to be all about watching how things develop out there. And, and it's not just about chasing the carrot to the next category either. I mean, within these categories, there's some pretty hot competition, and we can see that already. And really, I think a big shout out to what has happened with the TTT, because coming out of the WTRL TTT, it really highlighted how the teams interact with each other in this competitive environment and try to get those top spots. And because of that, we are going to have these categories, I think, with these teams showing up just looking to take each other out each and every week and try and be the top dogs out there. So I think the reality of how this is going to play out within the categories and trying to get those top spots is going to be pretty amazing. So really cool to see, and I think this is one of the first tastes of it that we're seeing here as well with what WTRL has put together here with this empowerment series. So let's take a quick look.
And series.
Go ahead. Dave.
Series is the key word there too. Another reason why not to chase categories is getting involved in a good series is like being a part of a good team. There's an ongoing storyline that's a tremendous part of people's lives these days. To integrating what's happened in this COVID era, one of the positives is how we've been able to find these communities and really grow in them. So, all right, Nathan, I think we're going to have a chance to go back and look at some results here, some top tens.
We're just looking at it's just a beautiful waterfall. We're just going to hang out and look at the waterfall.
I want to move there.
Go ahead. Let's go and take a look here. It looks like there's going to be Marina Arce there with a solid result there. Coming over the top of the sprint. Daniela Estrate was so quiet, just ready to pounce all day. Really, I mean, amazing tactics there from Daniela Estrate. She knows how to race the race. Antonia Reznikov, maybe a couple of those attacks ending up biting her at the end there because the reality is she put in some solid digs, and that might have been the little bit of energy she needed to take down those top two. Leah Thorvaldsen, solid ride from her in that third place. Haven't seen a result like that from Leah. Fourth place in quite a while. Monty Keller, I think a little bit of an upset there against Lonnie Keller because she is definitely one of the top sprinters. Helen McKay as well, it looks like. And then it's going to be Rachel Liberman. And then Kristen Kolchinski, she was the lead out, ends up fading back to 8th. Amanda Wendorf from Teach I Race Like a Girl. And then it's going to be Maria Frisk there, rounding out the top 10 coming out of Sweden. Then we saw that sprint with Joey coming from Team Fearless there. Lithgow, solid kick there. And then it's going to be Greta Higginbottom followed up by... we're seeing, I'm going to have to see if I can get this a little bit closer. Nathan's eyesight's not helping us out here so much, but Chantel Coates there coming across the line, followed Mackenzie Yates, and then Lala Lawson, Catherine Hogg Sanes from Revo, and then Ina Midgley, Siege Olsen, Jill Pruitt, and then Lisa Elliott rounding out the top 10 in the B category. The C category still finishing up out on course here, so we're going to give them a couple of minutes. But let's go ahead. We'll definitely jump in with them in just a minute here. I want to have a little bit more of a chat, though, with Martin about what's going on with the Racing League that just got announced here and what the reality of that all is. Martin Carew here, still with us, the WTRL director. Martin, we just saw this announcement come on through. What's been happening in the background here? I think a lot of people got a lot of questions, and I think we got kind of more of a slow release, though, as far as all the details go coming.
Yeah, before I get started, I just want to say we're called World Tactical Racing Leagues, and watching those the end of those two A and B category women's race, that's what the tactical side of things is all about, and that's what we're looking to see with all of the team play that we have across the TTT, and of course the forthcoming Zwift Racing League. So yeah, lots of conversations, lots of chat, lots of love. I hope not obviously a lot of questions as well with the Zwift Racing League. It is all set to get going on October the 13th. And one thing I will make very clear, WTRL has always been about all abilities, both genders, having exceptionally competitive team and individual racing. And that is exactly what the Zwift Racing League is going to be all about. There is obviously some people will be aware of the invitational qualifiers that have been going on. They started yesterday. They are leading in to the qualification for the top end. So that's the A plus N for both men's and women. And then there'll be a complete league structure sitting underneath that of divisions with all sorts of fun and games of promotion, relegation, all sorts of points on offer, and it will be there for the entire world. So there should be a time zone to suit you, whether you live in the Pacific coast of the USA or whether you are in the far east side of New Zealand. So exciting stuff. And we've been working hard for the last 2 months to get all this put together.
Absolutely awesome. Great work, obviously. And that, just so everybody knows, if you haven't seen it already, that is the announcement that we did see over on Zwift Racers with the Zwift Racing League. Zwift Insider did write a little bit of a article about it as well, if you can go check that out. That was Martin there from the WTRL. He is the director over there, and we've been working closely with him as well. We'll be here for all of the broadcasts for the Zwift Racing League in the community side of things. So make sure to be on the watch out for the announcement of how that broadcast schedule is going to be going. Now, speaking across all categories here, I'm going to throw it over to you for the C and the D category for today's ladies or women's empowerment series.
Thanks, Nathan. As Sweden gets the congratulations for Malin Bengtsson today with the win over Ruby Spring from New Zealand. Speaking of the east coast of New Zealand, Christine Culver from Revo, the American, rounding out the top three. And then you can see for fourth, it's Amanda Mallet, Paige One-Row in fifth, Kate Kirkland in sixth, Jennifer Baker in seventh, Layla Obermal in eighth, the Norwegian, then Irish woman, Kat Davis in ninth, and we'll go to another Swede rounding out our top 10, Katie Pinto. So that's our C women out there, and you can see that was a big group coming to the line there as well. Looks like all of our races played out in a pretty similar way. We talk about racers making the race, Nathan, but a lot of times the course helps steer it in one direction or another. And then we'll get a chance to look at some points here.
Yeah,
Right, the league series here. And this is updated, I'm assuming.
No, it's not. No, it's actually not,
It's
because
not.
throughout the
Okay,
day. So I
right.
just want to talk about where things stood at the beginning of the day and give another idea of how this is playing out throughout the series. Because these teams, and this is really what it's about with the tactics with the teams to try and battle it out against each other throughout the day. And Evoke, I mean, they went and got a result here in this race here with Monali Keller. I think, though, we're going to be watching out for Team Aeonian as well as 2020 to be boosting their results here. Antonio Reznikov there with that third place. She's going to be getting a few points. So let's take a look, though. I just also wanted to shout, we only looked at the A category before, so I wanted to give a shout out to the B categories. It looks like I Race Like a Girl is leading that B category out from last week. WTRL there, second place. Wadi Ink Bike Racing, Empower, Team Cryogen, Dutch Diesel Racing, Herd, Live by Cycling, and then DC Racing and Team Fearless. In the C category, it was Team SZ, WTRL, and Revo. Those were your top three. Dutch Diesel Cycling, Aeon, and then BRT, both racing team. Team Cryogen, Live by Cycling, Herd, and Vixen Fox now. And then in the D category, Live by Cycling, Herd, WTRL, SZ, CMA, Team AHDR, DBR, and then it's going to be Team Cryogen, Rowan King, and Wadi Inc. Racing. What's on the final page? Nothing's on the final page. I was wondering. I always want to see what's going on there. I'm not sure if we've got the D's across the line yet, and then we don't. So we might have to wait. We have to wait for that for next week, or heading over to Zwift Power to get all of those results.
Looking for an Easter egg. You never know.
You don't. Actually, with Martin, sometimes there'll be something cool on the final. Like, the reason as a heads up, like once in a while, Martin will put something on there that's like, oh look, there's a cool whatever that is. A lot of times it's next week's DTT. But all right, everybody, that's going to be it for us here with the Women's Empowered Series. Stage number 2, you can still get out there and race, though, as there are zones throughout the day. If you're on a team that's looking to get in those top spots, go out there and get some points for your team. Hammer it away out on the Champs-Élysées. See if you can get a win in the Women's Empowerment Series for the next zone that's happening later today. We'll be back tomorrow for the SCR race, midweek autumn series. We're into race number 3. Well, last week, there was a 120-kilometer race that didn't count toward the series. An interesting situation, so we had to cancel the broadcast. So I believe it'll be officially the races that count. It'll be race number 2 out there for the SCR Autumn Series. So jump out there with us tomorrow. Jump into the racing. We'll be here for that race. And then obviously TTT on Thursday, so be on the watch out for that. And be on the watch out for a lot more announcements coming both through ZCL. We might have some more interviews coming up as well to talk about the Zwift Racing League. So definitely hit those follow buttons. Make sure you're here for the broadcast to get all of the up-to-date information in a live format about everything that's going on in the world of Zwift Racing and the new Racing League. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow for SCR. As always, everybody, right on.